So up here at the intersection of Bridgetown Road and Tower Hill Road, there's a parking lot.
Yep, I see it. Right across the street from Dunkin' Donuts.
Yep, so we'll turn in here at Tower Hill Park in South Kingstown, Rhode Island.
Oh, this is a small parking lot. There's room for maybe 25 cars or so. The most obvious feature is the tall wooden tower in the corner of the parking lot.
Yep.
Maybe about 40 feet high, made of wood. And there's stairs that lead to the top. We should head up there and see the view.
We will, for sure. So near this tower, there's a rock, a boulder, really, where long ago a young woman sat forlorn looking out over the land toward the water. Estranged from her family over the man she loved, this rock and tower still bear the name of the broken-hearted girl who once sat here. That story is what brings us to Hannah Robinson Rock and Tower. Hi, I'm Jeff Belanger.
And I'm Ray Auger. Welcome to episode 277 of the New England Legends podcast.
Thanks for joining us on our mission to chronicle every single legend in New England, one story at a time. We do that through this podcast, our website, our super secret Facebook group that you can join right now, our free smartphone app, and the New England Legends television series that you can watch on Amazon Prime right now. We just added episode 1 of season 2, where we explore the Bloody Pit, better known as Hoosick Tunnel in the Berkshires of Massachusetts. I'd love it if you give it a watch.
Now, before we check out Hannah Robinson Tower in South Kingstown, Rhode Island, we want to take just a minute to tell you about our sponsor, Nuwadi Herbals.
Ray, 'tis the season for holiday parties, gift giving, and thinking about stocking stuffers.
Well, thankfully, Nuwadi Herbals has us covered. Their Christmas tea and berry Christmas soaps are flying off the shelves. You can buy them separately or together as a gift set. Now, I'm picking up a few gift sets of my own for, emergency gifts that you need to keep on hand.
Right. Gifts for party hosts, or when that person from the office gives you something and you didn't expect them to.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, I got you something too.
Now, I'm also trying to take care of myself this holiday season. There's a few extra drinks and late nights happening this month, plus
Sure.
a little too much overeating. So each day I'm sipping the Warrior Tea from Nuwadi Herbals. The Warrior Tea is your antioxidant shield to help keep your system strong and in balance. It contains a variety of herbs and fruits like cherries, orange peel, cranberries, ginkgo, pomegranate, and so much more.
Let Nuwadi Herbals help support your healthy lifestyle. Check out the Nuwadi Herbals website to see all their great products, and you get 20% off your order when you use the promo code LEGENDS20 at checkout. Visit nuwadiherbals.com. That's NUWATI, herbals with an S.com.
All right, Jeff, there's a roadside landmark named after a broken-hearted woman?
There is. It's funny how a legend can be so powerful that we create a park, pave a parking lot, build a 40-foot tower, and name a place after this woman, all because of a tragic story.
Now, I'm guessing most people don't even know the story. I mean, I don't. I've never heard of Hannah Robinson. My first guess is that this tower must be named after some prominent local historical figure.
Which is still true to a point. I mean, she was prominent in that she came from a wealthy family. Her beauty was legendary, they say. But she didn't build communities, orphanages, or any of the other things that cause us to name landmarks after people. Hannah's tale is so tragic, it was worth a park that forces us to learn more about her and see that even though almost 250 years have gone by, her tale could have been written yesterday.
Then let's head back to 1770 and meet Hannah Robinson. It's the fall of 1770, and 24-year-old Hannah Robinson is getting ready for her dance lessons.
Hannah is beautiful, and she comes from a wealthy family. She's so pretty that men get tongue-tied around her. They can't help themselves. At balls and other social gatherings, potential suitors try to woo her with poetry and compliments, but Hannah's heard it all before. She finds the wealthy men in her life dull and boring. She'd rather play with her spaniel dog, Marcus, than listen to the men fall all over themselves just to talk to her.
But there is someone Hannah doesn't find dull and boring.
Who's that?
Her dance instructor, Peter Simon. Peter was born in France and came to America to start a new life and to find his fortune. He's young, handsome, charming, and he can dance like no other man Hannah has ever seen.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2.
Pretty soon, Hannah is smitten.
And so is Peter. I mean, who can blame him? She's beautiful. She's rich. What's not to like?
Hannah is taking as many dance lessons as she can fit into her schedule. Hannah's mother is also taken with Peter's charm. She convinces her husband to hire Peter to come to their Boston Neck home on Narragansett Bay and offer private instruction to Hannah and her sister.
Pretty soon, love blossoms between Hannah and Peter. However, Hannah's father would never approve of the match because Peter is poor.
Still, the dance lessons continue, as does their secret courtship. Hannah often drops love notes out of her window down to the lilac bush below. Peter then sneaks up to the bush and retrieves his notes.
More weeks, more dancing, more notes, more sneaking around, and then one day, Hannah drops another note from her window. And just as Peter sneaks up to retrieve his note,
"What's going on here?"
Hannah's father catches Peter by the lilac bushes. He's furious. Hannah tries to explain that they're in love, but her father won't hear it. He forbids his daughter from ever seeing Peter, the dance instructor, again.
But this was not the end of Hannah and Peter's love affair. In a few weeks, a ball is being thrown at nearby Smith's Castle. Hannah and her sister plan to attend. Hannah's uncle, William Gardner, also knows of the ball and of Hannah's predicament. William likes Peter Simon very much, and he can't stand to see his niece so heartbroken. So William tells Peter which night Hannah will be riding through the woods towards Smith Castle. And Peter takes care of the rest. Peter jumps out of the shadows, snatches Hannah from her wagon, and the two lovers ride off to Providence to get married in secret.
Back in Boston Neck, Hannah's father fumes when only one of his daughters returns from the ball. He disowns Hannah then and there. And he knows she must have had help. He demands to know who betrayed his wishes. But everyone holds their silence.
Back in Providence, Hannah is happy to be with the man she loves. Though her father disowned her, Peter assures his new bride that this will all blow over and they will be welcomed into the family.
But Mr. Robinson is stubborn. He won't hear it. Weeks turn to months. And soon it becomes clear that Hannah and Peter, they're on their own.
But when you're in love, nothing else matters, right?
Well, that's true to a point. But poverty is not much fun, Ray. Plus, something's wrong with Hannah. She's ill. Soon it's clear she's got consumption, tuberculosis. It's brutal, and it's ravaging parts of New England right now. Hannah is just its latest victim.
And Peter, it turns out, now believes that poverty isn't for him. He thought he'd be in a wealthy family by now. Instead, he has an ailing wife and no fortune.
And soon, rumors start to circulate that Peter is seeing other women. And as Hannah's health declines, Peter's patience runs out. He runs off. Hannah is left alone and sick.
Word reaches back to Boston Neck, where Hannah's father softens. He sends a letter to his daughter saying if she simply tells him who helped her escape their family and elope with Peter, he'll forgive her and let her come back home. But Hannah refuses. She doesn't want to betray her uncle. Plus, she's still angry with her father.
More months pass. It's now late October of 1773, and Hannah is near the end. Plus, her father no longer cares who betrayed him. He just wants to see his daughter again. So he rides up to Providence with Hannah's old dog, Marcus, to keep her company on the ride back. Mr. Robinson retrieves his daughter and starts the journey back home. It's October 29th, and 27-year-old Hannah is riding south with her father toward Boston Neck. But Hannah is now gravely ill.
As the carriage approaches the hill that overlooks Boston Neck and Narragansett Bay, Hannah asks her father to stop the carriage so she can go sit on a nearby rock and admire the view of her childhood home. Hannah sits for a while, soaking up the view. But soon, the autumn air is too cold for her to bear. Too weak to walk on her own, Hannah's father helps her back to the carriage, and they finish the ride back to their home.
Back at the Robinson family home, Hannah settles into her bedchamber. She's weak, and her breathing is labored. It's October 30th when 27-year-old Hannah Robinson draws her last breath. The family tells their servants it was the consumption that killed her, but those close to Hannah say she died of a broken heart.
Hannah is soon buried in the family plot in South Kingstown, Rhode Island. Her dog Marcus can't stand to be without his master once again, so the dog sits by her graveside for days until he passes away too. And that brings us back to today.
This rock here by the tower has been called Crying Rock, Sad Rock, and Meditation Rock. And the tower was built in 1938 by the Civilian Conservation Corps.
Yeah, I can see the rock over there.
Now, some people believe Hannah's ghost still haunts that rock.
Well, this story is haunting for sure. Now, should we take a walk up to the top of the tower?
Yeah, we definitely should.
Wow, what a view.
Yeah.
I could see Narragansett Bay. Ooh, there's the Newport Bridge off to the east. There's Jamestown. This is a great view.
And if we look that way, a little bit to our northeast, about a mile and a half out is Boston Neck Road and the Robinsons' former land. And the Robinson family grave can still be seen at Roland Robinson Burial Lot, which is in Rhode Island Historical Cemetery, Narragansett, number 13.
Lucky number 13. I'm amazed that this tower and lot would be named after a pretty rich girl who had her heart broken. I mean, no offense to Hannah Robinson, but wouldn't there be some local civil servant or war hero who might be more deserving?
Yeah, I get that. I mean, we can always argue over who's most deserving of landmarks and monuments, but I like how this one is tied to a story that's just so relatable. We've all had our hearts broken at some point,
right?
But Peter Simon is a special kind of jerk. I mean, he marries her for her money, and when he doesn't get that, and when she's sick, he up and leaves her all alone.
I feel like there's some historical Hallmark movie in here somewhere.
Yeah, maybe, except some stories, like Hannah Robinson's, don't always have happy endings.
We always remember tragedies with or without rocks or towers.
So true. And that brings us to After the Legend, where we take a deeper dive into the story and often veer off course.
After the Legend is brought to you by our Patreon patrons. For just $3 per month, our patrons get early access to new episodes, plus bonus episodes and content that no one else gets to hear. Plus, they directly support us, which means a lot.
It does.
We're grateful to everyone who helps us with our hosting, production, and marketing costs. If you can help out, we'd appreciate it if you would head over to patreon.com/New England Legends to sign up.
Ray.
Yes.
Be careful who you love.
I know.
You know?
Right? You never know.
You'd never know.
You just never know.
But shouldn't you know?
You should.
Wouldn't you think, like...
People are strange, though.
I get having crushes and being smitten and being lost in it, but at some point when you're like, okay, wait a minute, are we going to build a life together? Don't you try to take a deeper dive?
Well, I think we fall for people without truly knowing them. I mean, the courtship period is not very long if you think about it.
2 beers?
Love it. 2 beers, yeah. Love at first sight. We hear about it all the time.
Sure.
So maybe it's that one initial conversation. Maybe it's just that attraction,
sure.
From the start. And then you start living with somebody and it's day to day. And then you're not spending a lot of time together because of work and real life. There's a process.
I guess so.
I guess is why there's so many divorces, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, also, I get that it's hard for us to feel sympathy when you have this girl who was like so attractive that it was legendary. Everybody would fall over themselves for her. And she's rich and she's privileged.
Yeah.
And she grew up that way. And yet we named a park and a rock and a tower from this girl, right? On Tower Hill Road.
A pretty rich white girl.
Yeah, right. I mean,
she so deserving of a park, or
right?
Yeah.
What did she do? Well, she fell for the wrong guy, had her heart broken, and died of consumption.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I know. It's a tough one. Right?
I know.
But I think so. You ask, like, I was wondering, okay, why would you name this park after? Like, she didn't do anything
right
other than make a horrible mistake in love, which is tragic. I mean, I think a lot of people have done that.
When was the park named after her?
Well, in 1938, it was the tower was put up.
Okay. Was it named for her before that? The tower went up?
It was named then. It was named...
so it was just one of those local legends that everybody talked about.
And also back then, now today, of course, there's trees everywhere. But if, and we'll put this photo up on our website if you want to take a look. Just click on episode 277. We have a photo from when it was just put up. And you can see there's no trees. It's just rolling hills all the way down to Boston Neck Road. So you could have sat on that rock and you could have seen everything. Today you might find that hard to believe because the trees are in the way. There's a whole like forest. But so that's what it was named for. I guess everybody just knew that rock. That's where she sat. She looked at the property down the hill. And
we've all sat on rocks.
We have, but that was her last day. Like that was her last full day, and died the next day. It's so tragic. And we've said before, sometimes these old stories, these legends are kind of like a song. And it got me thinking about Elton John's song, sad song, Say So Much, right?
Yeah.
And you're right. Like, why do we listen to sad songs? To make us feel worse.
That's
right.
it.
Right.
They do not make me feel better.
No.
I've had breakups before where I've played our song,
No.
over and over and over again, and it just makes you feel worse.
Worse.
You're digging a deeper hole.
Or like blues songs, right? Like Bleeding Gums Murphy, of course, said so eloquently in The Simpsons to Lisa, right? Blues isn't about making yourself feel better. It's about making other people feel worse.
That's right. The old country songs about, the guy leaving, the girl leaving, taking the dog, taking the truck. If you play it backwards, though, he gets it all back. So
right.
That's the way to listen to old country music.
It's a happy story, yeah. You get the dog, the truck, the girl back, and everything's great.
It's an old joke. That's not mine.
No, I know. And I also think we may have told it before.
I'm sure.
It's been a long time.
I think it's one of your favorites.
It is. I still like it.
it.
It still makes me laugh. But anyway, so, hey, we did mention Smith's Castle, which is in Wickford, Rhode Island. That was mentioned in this week's stories where the ball took place. A great haunt.
Oh, yeah?
You, of course, recall it was episode 123.
Jeff, that was so long ago.
It was so long ago. You can go here. It's got its own great haunting tale, episode 123, if you want to go back in the archives and listen to the story.
You're looking
of
at
Smith's
me.
Castle.
I don't want to go back. They should go back.
Yes.
I'm
right.
not going back.
That's right.
I don't like listening to myself.
But yeah, so I think that, this story, I would guess if you went to the park today again and said, hey, person stopping here, do you know who Hannah Robinson was? I think there's a darn good chance they would not.
Yeah.
Just
but it's a story to tell for the park ranger and
right.
reading the plaque. Or is there a plaque? There must be something written down somewhere.
And then you've got this tower, this really cool tower that you can go to the top and see cool views of Narragansett Bay and see the Newport Harbor and stuff like that.
Now, when I first learned about this, I assumed she fell off the tower. That was probably where the story started, but that's not it.
No, there was no tower. Not back then. Not at all. So
and maybe she fell off the rock and tumbled down. I thought that would be a good story, but no.
And not only that, she wasn't even American. She was British. Oh. We hadn't even fought the Revolutionary War yet.
That's way back, 1770.
1770, yeah. So we were going way back on this one. But yeah, so it's one of those just cool tales that I think a lot of people don't know. Tower Hill Road, that's where the tower is. And, it's tragic story. Hey, also, we have a bit of a mea culpa we have to address. In last week's episode, we had talked about the Mothman prophecy.
Yeah.
And you had said, "Oh, right, that starred Kevin Costner."
Oh, blame me.
You said it.
You agreed with me.
Play it
You're
back
like,
right
oh,
now.
yeah, that's right.
That's maybe. So anyway, we had multiple people, which, you know what? I took it as like people are listening that jumped in and said, no, it was not Kevin Costner. They were all correct. All of you were correct. It was Richard Gere. Forgive us.
Yeah, I know.
Please. Mea culpa. We messed up.
So the movie I was thinking of was Dragonfly. Mothman, Dragonfly.
Sure.
So that's Kevin Costner.
All our cryptozoologists out there are just rolling their eyes right now. Going, Ray.
But aren't they kind of interchangeable, or they could have been at one point? No. Kevin Costner and Richard Gere.
Oh, yeah, sure. That's
a little bit.
They were cast very similarly, I would say.
Yeah. If you were going to compare actors, they'd be very similar.
Right, sure. Yeah, for sure. But anyway, yes.
In my defense.
Sometimes we get it wrong. We're not perfect. We try our best, but we will own it when we get it wrong. Got
a strange story about a roadside oddity, ghost, monster, alien, or just plain weird? Don't assume we've heard it. Please reach out to us anytime through our website. We're a community of legend seekers, and we can't do it without you. Also, be sure to tell a friend or two about the show and share the episode on your social media. That's how we grow.
We would like to thank our sponsor, New Audio Herbals. Thank you to our Patreon patrons. And, of course, our theme music is by John Judd.
Until next time, remember,
the bizarre is closer than you think.